Are you ready to be noticed with your fragrance? Are you ready to leave a sexy trail? These are the sexiest sillage monsters, and these are the fragrances that are going to get you noticed. You're going to leave your fragrance behind in a hall, in the elevator, and people are going to chase you down the street to ask you what you're wearing. So find out about these 21 sexiest sillage monsters coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. If you don't know what sillage monsters are, if you don't know what the word sillage is, it's basically the fragrance trail that you leave behind. Projection is how much the fragrance projects off of you, and sillage is if you're leaving a room and that smell that you're wearing, the fragrance you're wearing, is still in that room even after you're gone. So these are the fragrances that are going to do that for you, and you're going to get noticed and recognized with your smell. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got 21 sillage monsters, the sexiest sillage monsters. First off, MAISON CRIVELLI's Patchouli Magnetic. Yeah, this is not for the faint of heart. It's a love it or hate it fragrance. It's really beefy, meaning it's intense. It's got a lot of substance. You put this on and you'll get noticed. It's you know, it can come off overwhelming to some people, and I feel like this is definitely overwhelming. Once you get past that overwhelming quality and wear it, trust me, you're going to get recognized. This is Patchouli Bomb, but it's very creamy, lactonic, milky with Gardenia, Patchouli Sandalwood, Benzoin, White Peach, Vanilla Leather. This is the stuff that will get you recognized. It's a room filler. It's intense. Definitely very, very sexy. And again, overdosed with patchouli. But moving on to the house of MANCERA, Red Tobacco. I've got two MANCERA fragrances here that have the sexiest sillage. MANCERA's Red Tobacco, really, really super potent. Once it gets on you, kind of melts with your body, and the fragrance kind of develops, you start leaving a really amazing trail. Really nuclear fragrance here, overwhelming with tobacco, vanilla, cinnamon, oud, patchouli, saffron, and incense. It's, once again, not for the faint of heart. It's pretty overwhelming, but it's really intense and really, really super sexy with all those wonderful spices and fruits and tobacco that are in this fragrance. Red Tobacco from the house of MANCERA. Moving on to the house of FREDERIC MALLE. It's the Moon. This is a really sexy fragrance. It's oud, but it's not heavy. It's fruity and super delicious. It's rosy and floral, but not overwhelming. It's incensey smoky, but it's blended beautifully. Everything about this is really amazing. Really great longevity with the massive projection and sillage as well, but not the kind that's heavy. Like, it won't weigh you down like some of the other fragrances that I'm going to talk to you about here. It's perfection, I think. It's made perfect. It's one of the best fragrances in the Desert Gems collection from FREDERIC MALLE. I absolutely love it, and it is a really, really, long-lasting fragrance with an amazing trail. So if you don't know the Moon, do check it out. It's quite phenomenal. I think Julien Rascanet did an amazing job on that fragrance. So next up, going to the house of MAITRE Parfumeur Gantier, it's AMBRE MYTHIQUE. Really, really intense fragrance. Really big projection and a massive trail here. It's super sexy and intense with Labdanum, Myrrh, vanilla, lavender, spices, balsamic notes, resinous notes to combine to create this really overwhelming concoction of ambery notes. It's really, really long lasting, as I said, and the cloud is big. Don't spray this with your mouth open, because the way it kind of like moves around, it just kind of goes inside everything. So be warned, but it's super potent and really, really amazing, and your trail will be left even after you're gone for a while. It's a room filler for sure. And even though Ambre Perso is definitely my favorite between the two, this is still really, really great with a really, really great longevity, which is why I'm featuring it here. So it's MAITRE Parfumeur Gantier's AMBRE MYTHIQUE. Really great quality, long-lasting fragrance with an amazing trail. Next up, it's a fairly new fragrance here. I've spoken about it once or twice here and there. This is SALAS Piccadilly Memorial. So man, this is a room filler for sure, and it's also really heavy on the patchouli. It also kind of has a bit of a reminder of Patchouli Intense from Parfums de Nicolai, but this one has some sweeter notes mixed in together to create a really intense and potent fragrance. It's lots of patchouli, but not the chocolate cakey, more like green patchouli, with labdanum, sandalwood, musk, vanilla, and iris. It's again room filler. It'll stay in the room for a while, and on you it won't disappear. And this stuff, you would leave the trail everywhere, and people will be chasing you down and asking you what you're wearing. It's interesting, the combination of this kind of green patchouli and aromatics and spices together with kind of warm or ambery vanillic notes together. Very unusual creation, which is typically creates a little bit of a chocolate cakiness when you combine these ambery notes and vanilla with patchouli. Here it definitely stays green, so it's a different kind of patchouli, definitely really, really long lasting and very potent. So this is SALAS Piccadilly Memorial. This is one of my favorites that I'm talking about here, Tiziana Terenzi's URSA. URSA, again, really beastly fragrance, really intense. Although I am hearing from some people that there's a reformulation. The version I have is pretty potent, but it's been it's been with me for a while. This is basically, once again, patchouli with dried fruits and rum. There's leather, there's tobacco, there's incense, there's oud, there's a vanilla, nutmeg, olibanum. Really delicious combination. Really, really long lasting. Really sexy trail with this one. Needs a little body heat, and man, it'll start projecting off of you, and that trail that you leave behind, it's super phenomenal. Smells fantastic. I've smelled people wear this stuff and I'm like drooling over the smell. It's so sexy, and so I always recommend it because I also wear it and it smells very similar to when I smell it off of other people. It's fantastic. And again, for this one, just needs some warmth for it to just really start radiating off of you, projecting off of you, and smelling really, really sexy. So URSA by the house of Tiziana Terenzi. Been a favorite of mine. It's my favorite from that house. I was going to feature something like Hail Bop, but I don't find it to be as heavy on the projection, even though it's really potent and long-lasting, as URSA is. But moving on to the house of Montal, it's Sensual Instinct, this one right here. This one does have a bit of molecular Baccarat Rouge-like accord in here, or, feature in here. But in the end, it's like combining multiple different styles together. For sure, there's a little bit of a intense cafe-like quality in here as well. It's rose, cacao, tiramisu, vanilla oak moss, amber coffee, patchouli, saffron, cardamom, and whiskey. Really wonderful trail. It's not as beastly as some of the other ones I'm talking about. I think it's all about sillage here. It's the actual trail, that this is the fragrance you would wear, and you definitely leave a trail behind. And if you've spritzed on enough spritz or sprays, people will try and find your smell and ask you what you're wearing. It's a really great fragrance. So this is Montal's Sensual Instinct. For me to be recognized with my trail or sillage, I spritz myself quite often or frequently, and I leave, and that's when I kind of go into an elevator or walk down the hall or go into a restaurant or a cafe. And, each of these places has different smells. With your smell, with this perfume, and the smell of that, space, you can kind of like get an idea of what this other person is wearing with perfume. And that's when people ask me what I'm wearing. But moving on to the house of Xerjoff, it's a Cento Overdose. One of my favorite Xerjoffs. Really great quality fragrance with a massive trail, really intense. But no patchouli in here. It's more like ambery and fruits and floral notes and green notes and eucalyptus and pine. Very unusual combination, but a really, really sexy combination. I really, really love this one. But again, it's different than anything else here. It's kind of green and ambery. It's a fruity and floral, but really great. Big fragrance, massive trail, really sexy trail, and one that people will ask what you're wearing. I really, really love this one. I like its intensity. And once again, this is really potent and intense, and also comes alive in the heat again. The heat is basically what you want for the fragrance to kind of like wake up and, come alive and intensify off of you. So this is Xerjoff's a Cento Overdose. Moving on to the house of Unique Luxury, it's Crush on Me. Caramel and patchouli. Once again, if you haven't noticed, I do have quite a bit of patchouli in this list. For me, patchouli is one of the longest lasting notes. Also the note that has the best trail. Out of a lot of notes, patchouli's trail is amazing. It just always lingers on, has the greatest longevity. It has lingering power and also great projection and sillage with the trail. So this is patchouli, caramel, ginger, lime, amber, saffron, iris, musk, rose, woods, and magnolia. For me, this is a different take on patchouli once again, just like this SALAS Piccadilly Memorial. So whereas this is green, this is not as green as that one. And also it's a greener patchouli, but not as green as that. But it's also mixed in with like this kind of sticky, sweet caramel note. That is a really great combination. So you're not getting that kind of chocolate cakey effect with the amber and vanilla and balsamic notes and resins and things like that. So it's a different take on a patchouli, but still a really great trail, really wonderful, amazing trail, very sexy trail, and a great longevity with this one, along with the projection. So if you're looking for something different with patchouli, not the chocolate cakey kind, but more sticky sweet with caramel, definitely try Crush on Me from the House of Unique Luxury. But next, going to the House of Amouage, it's Jubilation 40. This is also patchouli, but this is more resinous, fruity, oody patchouli. But with this version, it's super potent and beast mode. Really big cloud, massive trail, amazing projection, and very long lasting with this one. I'm so glad they did this because the original version has gotten weak and light. This version is just beast mode. This is the word to use for this one. It is expensive, unfortunately, but everything is just amplified to the max. It's got the, a Papanax, the Patchouli, the Frankincense, the blackberries, myrrh, labdanum, moss, oud davana, blackcurrant, and so on. And there is a bit of green camphoric menthol type of a touch in this, which creates just a very intense experience, but super amazing. I really love the way it smells. I like the original. It's more heavy on the patchouli. Here, the patchouli is here. It's really potent, but there's a lot of other things along with it to give you that kind of menthol kind of a vibe, which I quite like. And normally, I'm not the biggest fan of menthol, but here it really works with all the notes, the resins, the patchouli, the fruits, and everything. Amouage Jubilation 40, really wonderful offering. Next, it's MANCERA's Instant Crush. So Instant Crush is also kind of Baccarat Rouge-like. I don't have Baccarat Rouge on this list, unfortunately. But again, this is a really great fragrance. Kind of has that kind of Baccarat Rouge-like quality, as I said, but more with a MANCERA twist. It's saffron, citruses, amber, rose, vanilla, ginger, sandalwood, white musk, oak moss, and jasmine. Definitely has that really great lingering power that Baccarat Rouge-like fragrances has, but it's the MANCERA style with vanilla. There's some citruses, there's the amber touches. Really wonderful creation and very long-lasting with an amazing trail. So this is Instant Crush from the House of MANCERA. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. Yes, I left off Baccarat Rouge. I speak about it quite a bit. It's still a favorite of mine. It would definitely fit this list, but I ran out of space, but definitely can add it to the list. But moving on to, once again, Sospiro's Dolce Melodia. One of my favorite fragrances, as I said, and a really beefy fragrance. Really love it. It's a great fruity floral with ambery touches and vanillic touches and some woods and musk, but one of the best creations ever with the great trail. This is like an amazing trail, even for an eau de parfum. It's made so robust and intense. That's what I like about it. It's intensity, but it's not like overwhelming, like Followed from Kerosene. That stuff is like, keep that away from me because it's so potent. This is potent, but wearable potent, and I love its longevity, its trail, the projection and everything. And it smells so good. Anyway, Dolce Melodia, one of the best creations from the last, I don't know, year or so. Moving on to it's funny that I have two fragrances created by the same perfumer back to back. Here, this is Electimus London's Octavian. It's kind of like a cross between... it's kind of like a cross between Portrait of a Lady, but something else as well. And I'm drawing a blank with the other fragrance. It's a rose bomb in the end. It's lots of oud with Taif rose, attar of roses, saffron, pink pepper, olibanum, amber. So it's not as warm, spicy as the Portrait of a Lady because it's got like the cloves and cinnamony touches in Portrait of a Lady. This also has saffron, which the Portrait of a Lady doesn't have. And of course, it's oud, which Portrait of a Lady doesn't have. For me, I would say this is more like the Night with the toned down oud, along with Portrait of a Lady with toned down warm spices and saffron added to it. It's a really sexy fragrance, really one of a kind. And I get cumin from this one as well, which even amplifies the sexiness of the fragrance because I find cumin to be quite sexy as a note. But a really great offering created by Christian Provenzano for Electimus London. But next, this is a staple here on this list. It's the Patchouli Bomb of Patchouli Bombs. It's Psychedelique from the House of Javoy. One of my favorite fragrances of all time. It's one of the best patchouli fragrances out there. It's patchouli with amber, vanilla musk, labdanum, geranium, rose, and citruses. This is the fragrance that has that chocolate cakey effect when you're wearing it. It doesn't smell like chocolate cake. I do have to be upfront about it. People think I say it smells like chocolate cake. It doesn't. it just has that chocolate cake effect with the patchouli's earthiness mixing with the vanilla, amber, balsams, resins together. It just creates that kind of an effect. But in the end, it's mostly about the very earthy patchouli, sweetened and resinified, is that a word to use? Made resinous and balsamic and vanillic and ambery with those type of notes. Psychedelic, one of the best fragrances out there, and it has a really, really great trail. Wonderful, wonderful trail. I love that. Really long lasting as well. But moving on to the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. B683 Extrait. Extrait de Parfum is beast mode and also a bit animalic. Be warned on this one. Those of you that don't like animalics, this might come off a bit too overwhelming with the animalic notes. It's oud, saffroline, violet leaves, green apples, sandalwood, patchouli, pink pepper, cumin, and vanilla. There's cumin here for sure. You will notice it. But also some musky animalic undertones, and I feel like it's from the oud. It does get leathery, but there's the freshness from the violet leaves in here and the fruitiness from the green apples, which is quite nice. And then there's this patchouli, sandalwoody touches in the base when it's drying down. Along the way, you know, spices like the pink pepper and the cumin come in. Really great offering. I prefer the extrait of this fragrance, whereas Ganymede, I prefer the original, although both of them are fairly nice. But with the B683, I find the extrait to be really, really amazing. So this is B683 Extrait. And a wonderful offering from Marc-Antoine Barrois. Next up, going to the house of BDK. It's Pas Ce Soir Extrait, this one right here. A great, great extrait de parfum fragrance from this house. They have launched Gris Charnel Extrait, which I liked, but I much prefer this one. And once again, we're talking about patchouli. The patchouli is pretty potent, and it's what gives it the strength and intensity and the longevity and the trail and the projection. But there's a lot of things happening with it where we experience the patchouli, but the other things are a bit more important, like the quince chutney in here, tangerine, cashmeran, jasmine, pear, pretty much dominate, and then that patchouli gives it that anchor, that support, the intensification. But along the way, you'll also see some cacao, ginger, black pepper, orange blossom, vanilla, benzoin. Fantastic fragrance with an amazing trail. This one will get you noticed if you spritz on quite a bit of it and you walk around people. They'll definitely notice you. So this is Pas Ce Soir Extrait from the house of BDK, my favorite fragrance from that house. Next, moving on to a fragrance house called Stellar Scents. It's Earth. This one's oud, leather, rose, and vanilla. And it's a super potent fragrance, but it's only an eau de parfum. It's not extrait de parfum. Really a great trail as well. Everything is so robust in this. It's made to be really super potent. And the longevity is great. And then even though it's super potent, I wear it in the heat too. Everything just amplifies off of me. The trail is amazing. Amazing trail. Really beefy trail. And the combination of the oud, the leather, rose, and the vanilla is not overwhelmingly sweet. It's more about the oud and the leather and the rose. But then again, it's a really, really nice combination. Along the way, there's some ambery touches. Maybe some aromatics and spices come in as well. But pretty much the fragrance is all about the oud, leather, rose, and vanilla. Such a great scent. This is Stellar Scents, Earth. And then we're going to the house of Angelo's Creations Olfactives. This is Eau de Vertu. Eau de Vertu is a super intense, really long-lasting fragrance with the most amazing trail. And even though there's no like molecular notes, when I'm wearing this in the heat, it acts a bit molecular. This has notes of mimosa, mineral accord, ginger, galbanum, hinoki, lily of the valley, and so on and so on and so on. It's a really, really fantastic fragrance, really super sexy trail. And again, this fragrance comes alive in the heat, and it creates this very interesting minerally, spicy, molecular kind of a combo, musky as well, combination of notes to create a really, really wonderful fragrance. Really super amazing trail with this one. It seems like it's extra thick, but it doesn't feel thick, you know? Just clings on and lasts and lasts and lasts, which is great. And then this is a great fragrance from this house. It's Angelo's Creations Olfactives, Eau de Vertu. Let me know if you've smell that fragrance. It was featured in my very first Scent Club kit way back a couple of years ago. A few more fragrances left. This is Clive Christian's Town and Country. So this one has got that kind of molecular thing happening with it as well. But in the end, it's cedar with patchouli. There's ambergris, which I'm assuming it's ambroxan or a combo of ambergris and ambroxan, along with cashmere, olibanum, white tea, juniper, cardamom, sandalwood, clary sage. It's super, super sexy, very, very potent, very long lasting with an amazing, amazing trail. that is to die for. It smells very expensive, and again, I feel like the ambergris is like an ambergris accord, perhaps some ambroxan, and something that smells like ambergris created by an accord. But again, really, like if you like the idea of smelling like cocaine, this is definitely something you should try. Really an amazing offering. And lately, I feel like Clive Christian's fragrances have gotten a little better than when they first rebranded. They did that weird rebrand thing, and they changed the smells of their fragrances, kind of caused confusion. But now they've been releasing some great fragrances. So Town and Country, really amazing. Check that out if you don't know it. And I have to mention this fragrance. This is Portrait of a Lady from the house of Frederic Malle. Yes, it's gotten lighter. It's gotten a bit weak, or maybe a lot weak. Because I remember when I first bought this 12 years ago, it was super beast mode. But still, I think it's still a pretty intense fragrance. It's rose, patchouli, incense, cloves, raspberry, sandalwood, blackcurrant, and of course those warm spices that are in here. It's amazing. It's one of the best fragrances, and it has a super sexy trail, really beastly trail. And that's what I like about this, the potency, the intensity, the smell, all of the notes combined together. There's definitely a lasting impression when people smell this off of you. Anyway, Portrait of a Lady. And then last but not least, we've got Raw Gold here. Raw Gold is, again, patchouli, vanilla, orris, davana, benzoin, suede, and the combination of the notes are super amazing, very intoxicating, and really intense and long-lasting with the super sexy trail here. These are the kind of notes, intense fragrances. It's a bit honeyed, it's a bit sweet, but earthy patchouli, creamy vanilla. There's that benzoin, which intensifies the vanillic touches, and then all the other notes like suede and davana come in to enhance the experience, the wearing experience, and also that trail that this fragrance leaves behind when you wear it. Do you guys like the original or the new version that is in this bottle? Do let me know. Remember, the original is pretty not pretty animalic. It's animalic, but very tolerable. This version is not as animalic. It's more about the patchouli with the kind of honeyed vanillic resinous benzoin notes. But a super amazing fragrance with a really sexy trail. Really a great fragrance, Raw Gold, and that is the last fragrance I'm talking about. Anyway, let me know some fragrances that you have that have a really great sexy trail, like a sillage, the most amazing sexy sillage. Do let me know, put a comment down. The ones that are like super potent and really intense, like Monster Longevity, Monster Sillage, and things like that. Do let me know. I know I talk a lot about these particular fragrances, but I try and find new ones. And sometimes people think some fragrances are monsters, like really intense, but I consider these in my collection some of the most potent. I could feature other ones that might be less potent, but I try and find the most potent that I feel like are potent for you guys. But let me know if you have some that you consider potent. I'd like to find out what they are. Perhaps go check them out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.